RJ Barrett certainly looks like a 3 and D wing. He can defend, he can run, he can jump. He's got a good build, a good frame. Looks like he has all the physical tools to be a really solid player at the next level. But let's take a deep dive into his film. Let's see if he really stacks up with the top 3 to 5 picks in the draft. If he's worthy of a pick like that, make sure you follow on Twitter at ScoutWithBryan. Check the lineup's full written scouting report. I'll make sure it's pinned to this video. And make sure you check out the videos I've already done and the reports on Zion and John Morant as well. Let's take a look, though, at RJ in depth, starting with what's his skill set. What does he do best? I think he's a really good pick and roll passer, a really underrated creator for a guy his size. You see against the hedge here, he does a great job freezing the help side defenders, looking them off, looking like he's passing up here to then hit the roll man. He does a great job manipulating the defense with his eyes, has really good floor vision. You can see the influence of his godfather, Steve Nash. That's just an advanced pick and roll read, stringing out the hedge to hit the three off of it. Not many guys in the NBA that can do that consistently. Very left-hand dominant, much more of a passer going left, shooter going left. Everything he does wants to go to that left hand. But you see he makes the reads like this, seeing the guy in the corner being helped off, back door. Great job getting up in the air to deliver that zip pass on time and on target. A fundamentally sound player. Does a good job staying in triple threat. You see when he dribbles off this screen again here, he's just reading it. He reads the low man coming in to tag on the pick and roll. Sees Zion in the corner opposite. Great job right in his shot pocket to find him for the corner three. He's a big-time creator, having a lot of even double-digit assist games. And that's where I see kind of the mold of a guy like Joe Ingles, who can play out a pick and roll from the wing spot, be a secondary creator. Just finds big men on their rolls, reads the floor well. Again, not a true point guard, but it wouldn't surprise me to see some teams use him at that occasionally, kind of like a Batum type role. You see again, the big's just up at the level of the screen, gets up in the air, drops a perfect pass right in there for the roll. Where does he not thrive? Let's take a look at his jump shot. All right, what I really want you to focus on with this, he's pretty solid when you look up top. What I mean by that is his follow through is pretty good. Everything looks mechanically okay up top. Where he's not as good is with his feet. So, for example, on this clip here, when you're a shooter, especially in the NBA, great shooters run behind the line. They find the line. They have their hands down, out and ready. They're in basically a good stance, running in transition. So right now, even his hand should be out, like Jones, ready to catch and shoot. Instead, he drifts inside the line so that when he catches it, he kind of has to backpedal, back tap a little bit. That's not good footwork. He also has to kind of learn just what a good shot is. I wouldn't consider this a good shot with 22 seconds on the shot clock. He takes a lot of these that are kind of a little bit in rhythm, but again, you see, not great footwork, kind of just flat-footed into it. Again, we'll take shots like this too. As the trail man in transition, watch the feet. Off balance to start. Left foot obviously ends up way in front of the right. I prefer 10 toes to the rim, feet even, straight up, straight down. This is not, you don't want to have a staggered stance like this on your shot. Got to clean up, especially the lower leg footwork. Really led to a lot of his inconsistency as a shooter when you see why he shot 31%. The shot got a lot better than it was in high school, and it's going to get there. But again, you see on a clip like this, look how flat-footed he is waiting for this. He should be down in a stance, ready. Bend your knees, get lower. He is not low enough. He stands too upright, so when he catches it, basically, a lot of your power on your shot comes from your core, from staying low and ready to go right into it in rhythm. He doesn't have a great rhythm because he's basically standing upright, so he catches, goes straight up from there. So despite the follow-through, everything looking okay up top, a lot of his shots end up pretty short as a result. He also doesn't have very good footwork coming off screens, especially to his left shoulder. So he loves to curl, on the right side of the floor, which lets him get to that strong right shoulder. When he's coming off to his left shoulder like this should be left foot plant, right foot plant, turn and shoot. But instead, you see he's got his butt to the baseline. He's facing half court. He doesn't have the footwork yet, especially to come off this way off a screen that should have been a tight curl for an easy jumper. Instead, he catches it like this, kind of does his back hop again, ends up missing by quite a bit. We see another example here, once again, where he's inside the line, has his hands up this time, a little bit better, but again, has got to do a better job finding the line quickly. These are things he'll just have to learn as a shooter, getting his toes ready, being down in the stance, instead of, again, retreating, having to find the line, having to get your feet behind it. All that leads to a wildly inconsistent shot at times. And what else you see out of him is when he's asked to be a creator sometimes, he really doesn't have any sort of intermediary mid-range game. This is a forced shot with a lot of time left on the shot clock still. The players in the NBA, Rodney Hood is a guy that comes to mind sometimes watching him. Rodney Hood on a play like this is able to get by his man, pound, elevate, rise up, and hit this shot right here. Instead, RJ is so slow with his pound dribble and doesn't really pound the ball hard at all that he ends up allowing the defense to catch up to him and block this shot across his body. See it again here. This was against a zone, but even so, tries to find a little step back to create his gap for his shot. Just really poor lift, really poor pound dribble. His handle's got to get better. His rhythm's got to get better. All that stuff will come with a lot of reps. What he does do, he rebounds the ball. That's one thing that stands out as really impressive. Over 7.5 rebounds per game as a wing. Goes and gets it. He's not afraid to mix it up in there. And then when he does, he can be a ball handler too. Take it coast to coast. This was much better elevation off the dribble in transition. This was a big time shot with that right hand groove dribble into it. And again, you see the top looks really good. Good follow through there. Here he ends up kind of in a pick and pop. Again, look how good the top looks. The follow through is good. Everything's good mechanically up top. And here he does a better job. We call this a little bit of a pro hop right into the shot. Hop, catch, shoot. He'll be a solid shooter. I think he'll get there. It'll take some time. It's not going to be overnight. Mechanically, like I said, there's a lot of good too. I focused on the inconsistencies and why he's not hitting shots at a high level right now, but I think he'll be able to. This was a great example again of the pro hop, and you see again, better here, hands ready, a little bit lower down, able to pro hop right into it. And again, the follow through, everything mechanically is really consistent there. You can tell he's got good pedigree, the son of a professional, done a lot with the Canadian teams. I like this one too, being able to jab. This is how Zion gets a lot of his threes, that strong left foot jab. Rodney Hood gets a lot of threes this way. Good footwork and a triple threat. Your man sags off you. Jab, step, shot. I like it. And this was probably the best one. Staying at that slot. Again, the pro hop. Great in rhythm shot. I think he'll be able to hit shots at a pretty reasonable level. Another area he's going to struggle in. Very, very left-hand dominant. And on top of being left-hand dominant, he's not phenomenal even at getting into gaps with his left hand. He's a little tentative, like right here on this handoff. I thought he should have put his head down, got to his left hand with this defender leaving this gap right here, and turned the corner and got middle. Instead, he allows his defense to catch up, to body him, loses grip of the ball, ends up getting swiped. This is a kind of play, too. I want to see a big-time athlete like him. He's not as comfortable as he should be attacking in transition in situations like this where there's not a lot of bodies left. Bodies ahead of you. When you get hit ahead with the ball like this, you should be looking to attack your man. Ends up getting the ball back, and then you see again, just not comfortable at all going to his right. Ends up pushing off with that left hand, getting called for an offensive. Must be something about Duke. Zion, too. Incredibly left-hand dominant. I don't know what the analytics are on this shot, but he ends up forcing a lot of shots up like this. You see he's really uncomfortable, even spinning back to his right hand. Makes this read. He plays out of a lot of pin-down sets. This is floppy, a main NBA set. So it's good that he has the experience of playing out of this. But you don't see, he's not a specialist. He's not a guy that sprints and flies off these screens. He's pretty slow. NBA coaches are going to tell him, you got to go game speed. He might think this is game speed right now, but this is not fast enough in the NBA, sprinting off these screens. It's kind of slow. It's kind of Otto Porter pace, which is all right if you want to, get some curls, hit a few mid-range jumpers. But if you want to really be a big-time, Bradley Beal type shooter off these screens, you got to sprint in everything you do. This is slow. Telegraphs that left-hand floater again, gets blocked easily. Again, you see, when he squares up his man, just doesn't really have a lot of wiggle. Doesn't have a lot of ways to get by him. Not comfortable at all with more than a dribble maybe, going to his right, ends up bringing it back, and again, forces that shot up a lot. Will rebound, I like that. Like I said, will mix it up. Note the rebounds. Plays unselfish, makes the right play. But again, even when he goes right, ball's in his left hand to finish. Allows it to get blocked pretty easily here. He's got to get comfortable finishing with his right hand around the basket, dribbling right, driving right, all those things. Now, that's not to say he can never get to the basket. Obviously, he has a really good pace to his game. He's good at changing speeds. Look at how he kind of hesitates here, freezes the pick and roll defender, then gets into the paint for a floater over fall. He gets in there a lot with his craft. You see in transition here, this is a good read, kind of just to attack the closing out defender. Get by him, again to his left, little sidestep, allows him to finish for the N1. See again, he's disciplined in the way he plays. He catches again, always in triple threat, waits for the screen, comes off it nice and tight, and here, again, he's able to get into that gap pretty well with his left hand. Jump pop, finish at the basket. If you let him get to his strong hand, he'll get there and he'll get to the rim. This again, you see. In the NBA, though, that's just what concerns me a little bit. Teams are really going to key in on forcing him to go right, not being square like this. Because if he's square, yes, he can get by you and finish to his left. In the NBA, they're not going to let you do that. This one impressed me. At least this one, this was his weaker side, like I said, where he's having to go right off this pin down. Does a good job again, changing his pace, reading his man, tight curling it. Still puts it back in his left hand to finish, but that one he kind of got the ball out in front of him, got enough spin. Very impressive finish there. Defensively, kind of a mixed bag at times too. Has the physical tools, but sometimes falls asleep. Your man sets the screen, you got to give the help. His man sets a back pick right here. He allows him to dance right by him for the layup. This one of the most true things I've ever heard in basketball is always lower man wins. Guy who's lower to the ground wins. Even though this guy's a lot smaller than him, RJ's got to still find a way to get low in a stance and stay lower, because there's these short little guys in the NBA even, and if they get underneath you like this, they're getting to the rim and they're finishing. That's not enough resistance. He's got to get lower in his stance, play lower overall, same thing offensively. When he gives effort, he could be good. This wasn't enough effort again. This is kind of a half-hearted stunt. Not good footwork. Not good footwork on the closeout. Kind of sells out completely, even though his feet are slow and he has plenty of time to get there and give a good solid closeout. Allows McQuaid to get all the way to the rim for an easy finish that he barely does. What does he do well? He reads the floor well, especially as a defender. He has a good understanding of help concepts. You see here, he's guarding the big low. Does a good job staying in the middle of the paint on the help line, ready to come over and help. This is NBA defense. Not his responsibility to get to the shooter, really. It should be Zion here, being ready to stunt. He's too late. I'm more impressed, though. RJ a lot. You watch him. Zion a lot of times even guarded the 3. RJ would guard the 4 or another big. I think it's because he does a good job being really solid with his blockouts. Look at it. Even though this shot goes in, Look at this really good block out he does against a much bigger player there. He's disciplined with that stuff, does a really good job on the defensive boards. You see again here, just his awareness. He's always seeing the ball and his man right in the middle, splitting the difference right here. Right on the help line, ready to tag the roll. He sees everything. I really like that in him. Seems to have a high basketball IQ. Right in the middle. If he's not there, that's a layup for this guy. He's still in, so that he has to stop, allows his man to retreat, and then he gets back out to Henry, closes out short, knows which way he likes to drive. Great disciplined defense. Then on McQuaid here, you see, good low stance, much better staying low, hands out, can be pretty long, good instincts, back up, good job stealing the pass. He can do a lot of things, got a lot of talent. Do I think he's more talented than Jarrett Culver? Personally, I don't. Make sure you check out the whole write-up and lineups, and again, I'll make sure it's pinned to this video as soon as it's published. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you thumb up, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and follow on Twitter at ScoutWithBryan. Appreciate you watching the RJ Barrett Draft Scout. Talk to you again soon.